Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Alright, welcome race fans, and I tell you what, tonight we got a good one here as we got the Belgium GP with a major series, and this is the Sportsman series here tonight, and we're at the famed track of Spa, and I tell you what, I really like this place when I raced here on iRacing. I really like watching it. I'm more familiar with the GT3, GTE style cars when they run here, but tonight we've got what you say the Grand Prix. On iRacing, they're called the Williams machine. Well, I got Mike up here in the booth with me. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Joe. It looks like the F1 cars are just about to get lights out, and away we go. So it's going to be a fun start. Standing starts are always crazy.
Absolutely, they are. And I tell you what, get our standing here right fast. There's a man up front. Old Jeff. Was that Cardamom?
Cardamom?
Yep, Cardamom. And I, like I said before, apologize. I'm gonna get some right out here. There's some wild ones out there, and still learning on some of them. But like you said, standing start, getting started here already. Green flag flies, and already it's all wild one into that first turn. You have got to be very careful on what you do there. Everybody looks pretty patient. A couple guys off of the track. Turn one, and then down to the famed. I'm gonna say Enron Rouge, I believe that's what you said.
Oh, it's Eau Rouge complex, but Eau Rouge is the downhill section, and Radion is the uphill section.
Very fast style track, got a lot of momentum style turns here. We're heading, already got some crashes going on in the back though. We got several cars around. Let's see if we can get that, who that is, Matt Geldner is around. Let's go back on the replay here and see. Folks, see what happened to him. Ouch, going up the hill there. And remember these, and they just got contact between him, I'm not sure that one, and another one just sent skyrocketing and it blinked into the wall hard. Ooh, tear up there tonight. Right there, one and done. Ouch.
That's too bad. That was Matt in a kinetic car. I didn't catch who it was, but they're going too wide, through Eau Rouge, and you really want to be single file at that point, especially on cold tires. And they paid the price. Matt's had a really good season, and early in the season he was really strong and sort of fighting for a championship, honestly. And he's had a tough couple of rounds, and it looks like it's not going to get any easier for him.
It was Gerald, was it Gerard Gilbert? Maurice?
Yep, you got it right.
All right, good deal. Maurice, last name?
Gomillion?
Gomillion, yeah. And it also looks like Jeffrey's having a little trouble here. Let's see what happened to him. He's slow on the track for some reason here. We're going on the replay and see. He went off track and stopped. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him there, but he
took a tow. What the heck?
Yeah, not sure what happened there, but I'll tell you what, this man right here dominated the Sportsman series. I mean, it's an impressive run. He's dominating the points right now. That's old Mark Stevenson, and I tell you, he was kind of, we just got from Knoxville, the dirt track in 410s. He was kind of hesitant on that, but I'm going to tell you, if you go back and watch, boy, he did an outstanding job. He dominated out there, and he's just having one heck of a dream season here in the Sportsman.
Yeah, he is. He's got 6 wins. He won the dirt round. It looked like Casey might get him at the end of the race last time, but he got the win. And then this week, he's been honestly really, I don't know if he's been playing possum or not, but he's been really down on his chances for winning. And here he is leading by 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds, building up 2. We'll see if he can hold it again. Mistakes at this track can happen fast, and they can be devastating when they do. So this race truly is not over till it's over, but he's looking super strong once again. Don't think anybody should be super surprised about that.
All right, let's see. Earlier on here, Maurice, he went off track, got in a wreck here. Let's see what happened. He went into the pits. He got caught up in that wreck earlier on. So a couple guys already here tonight, not the night that they want. Battle here for kind of second, thirds, kind of split up a little bit. You got Chris Yetio, Daniel Johnson right there. Brian Hollick is another one, been fast all season, and Rob DeLoach right there. Now, there's a tight battle. Talking about second, third, and fourth in the points, and Rob DeLoach is right there in it.
Yeah, Rob's in second right now. He's trying to hold off a bunch of teammates. As a matter of fact, it's a bunch of the guys that are right with him on track right now. Zach Brown and Brian Halleck, Chris Yetito, and others. Stephen Paulson is in sixth, so it's really tight battle for second, even though Mark's looking really strong for the championship so far. If you look at the on track right now, you got four Forge drivers in the top 5. Daniel B. Johnson is sort of in a Forge sandwich right now. We'll see if he can break through, but they're looking super strong.
Absolutely, right there. He's hanging on to that third. You got Zachary. He changes his name week in, week out. Good battle here, though. Him and Rob side by side going to turn. And you also got Joey Haynes there along with him. So it's kind of, oh, Rob goes around. Oh, wait a minute, that's Zach. He goes around. He's in the grass. Zachary. He just looped it out of that turn. Remember, he just went around Rob there and then just looped it in that turn.
Yeah, so when you're passing somebody at Spa, you're gonna have aero wash, and sometimes when you get out, you miss your apex basically because you go too deep, and then if you get on the power too quickly, these things have so much power, it is really easy to send them around. So that's gonna happen over and over.
Absolutely. Here we've got a good roll bar cam of Zach right there, but he changed his name. Now he's got Joker on there, and I think at one time before he said, Zach, did you know, or something like that on it before. I was like, well, that's a good one tonight. Maybe should have stayed with the did you know part, because that turn right there put a joke on him real quick. But he's got time to get back up there. No harm, no foul. This is an open series here, so they have open sets, not fixed like most of the other stuff out here. It said Dominic Orwick. Right, let's go back to Dominic and see what happened. On the Forge cards himself, he was back to 27th here. Obviously, this is road course race. Oh, slams the wall, tears the whole front end off of it. Again, almost the same thing as what Zach did. Just came out of the turn, lost it. So, not quite sure setup-wise, is these guys having a little trouble with the setup. Maybe, brake BIOS in these cars. Obviously, it could be a, old track tire situation.
Yeah, setup is really important, but honestly, in this car track combo, laps is the most important thing. And Dominic struggled a little bit for pace during the week, and yeah, you know, fighting to finish today is going to be a big deal. And as you see all these incidents add up, to be honest with you, 44 laps is a long time around this track. And if a guy has an incident, and even if he has to take a tow or take a spare car, he should get back out, because you're going to make up places on other guys that have incidents that you don't know who they are yet. So you just got to stay in it. You can pick up a ton of places just by grinding.
Absolutely. A little battle right here. Zachary's trying to make up ground. He got back to 10th place around Daniel Davis. The teammates right there. You got JF, looks like, what, a JF Godin?
Godin, yeah.
Yeah, so you got 3 cars right there. Kind of nose to tail. One thing about road racing here, kind of, you know, it's more of a technical gentleman style sport here, and you see how far apart these 3 guys are. You see how far apart, you know, JF there and Zachary is, but it would only take one little slip up in a turn. Zachary could just shoot right around. It's not like in an oval where we, you know, did have, let's say, a half a second or a second. That's a pretty good distance in an oval style. Here, you know, you could have a 2-second lead, and you pretty much get chopped in half by just one turn, one mistake.
Yeah, that's right. You know, mistakes are amplified for sure, and especially at a track where, you know, you're on full throttle for such a high percentage of the lap. Any mistakes cause you to get off throttle. Obviously, if you spin the car, that's even worse. But so, you know, Mark's got a 4.1 second lead. That's huge. But it could go away. You know, a mistake. It's difficult, you know, for somebody to make that up on their own. You are relying on the competitor making a mistake. But to be honest, you know, this combo is so difficult that you should expect that the people around you are going to make mistakes, and you should expect that you're going to make mistakes yourself. And you just got to stay patient. Like I said, stay in it, and keep grinding, and you will make up spots.
And here's Zachary, you know, a couple times right there, that rear end came out from under him. So I'm wondering on his setups. Right now, I don't know if he's just got maybe a little less downforce on that thing, because there's several times it just tried to step out from under him, road with him right there.
I wonder if when he spun it, if he didn't get any rear wing damage. You might take a look at that, because that's basically what's keeping that car planted to the ground. And if he's losing the rear end a ton, then that could be he could have a little bit of a bent wing. And if he doesn't, then he's just, you know, burned up his tires, which is the other thing that could kill you.
Yeah, it looks straight from here. A shot right there. I don't know if you can see it. It looks pretty straight from here. Obviously, sometimes it can be, you know, iRacing can be a little misleading as far as with the visual, but from here it looks straight. So I'm with you. I think it might be the tires that it might be. He spun pretty hard, and then he's, you know, kind of slid around the tracks. The wing does look pretty straight from that angle.
Yeah, it does. I think you're right. I think he lit him up going around, and he probably lit him up spinning around back, you know, to get it straight again. So probably not ideal. He'll be looking to get fresh ones on as soon as he can. The other interesting thing here, Joe, is, you know, drivers are really have 2 solid options from a pit strategy perspective, because the tires are so important. So you're going to see guys either do a 2-stopper or a 1-stopper. And in my opinion, the 2-stopper is the safer option, meaning you start the car with lighter fuel and you get fresh set of rubber twice. But you're in pit lane twice. So it's a safer option, but in theory, it could be a slower option for somebody who's able to manage their tires. You know, Zach's probably not going to be in that boat, so if he was planning for a 1-stopper, he may have to readjust and now shift to a 2. But for somebody who's planning on doing a 1-stopper, that's somebody who really needs to be taking care of their tires throughout the stint, so that they can split this thing in half. I'm going to be very interested to see, you know, guys starting to come in, you know, around lap 15, 16, who are doing a 2, and obviously won't be coming in until lap 22 or so for the guys who are doing a 1. So the standings are going to shuffle a lot during this, you know, mid portion of the race.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right now, you know, I was just going through the field right there, as you can see, folks, and just kind of showing you kind of spread out a little bit throughout. And just what Mike said, it actually will get jumbled up as pit stops happen. I mean, earlier on, usually everybody kind of gets spread out, which that's the norm when it comes to a road style race. But this man right here, Mark Stevenson, out front, just dominating. He's been doing it all season long here in the Sportsman. Blue coming up a little bit of lap traffic. Chris Yedio right there, Tito, excuse me. coming up in second. He's about 5 seconds back, almost 6 seconds back from Mark.
Yeah, lap traffic is going to be very, very interesting because, like I said, when you're on throttle so much, if you catch a guy at the wrong spot or if he doesn't give you the line, then you're going to have to get out of the throttle, and so you could lose time, big time. And we'll see how Mark is able to manage that. But to be honest with you, Mark has got a big enough lead right now that he can run a conservative race. And if he's doing a one-stopper, that would even play into his hand more because he could run conservative, conserve the tires, and save that time in pit lane. So I'll be curious.
Wait a minute. Got to pass for the lead, Mark Stevenson. Boy, we were just talking about it, and he actually messed up. He's all the way back to third. There was a crash in front of him. Sorry about that on that mic, but yeah, he lost it coming out of the turn and hits the wall. So we just talked about a mistake could happen. Tore the front wing off the car. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
dominating just like that. You know what? I chalk that up as the broadcaster's jinx. We get out here, we talk about it. I hate that, but we were just talking. Wow, talk about a turn of events, out dominating. You were just talking about it. With the big lead as he had, he could just really stay easy, but now he's going to be in trouble because I know y'all don't have fast fixes here.
Yeah, they get one spare car. So
they do? Okay, well then, yeah, okay.
He's going to need it, and he's going to come in right now, and he'll get his spare car, but that's the only one he's going to have. And it's, lap 7, 6? He's now forced into at least one long stint for sure. And he's not out of this thing because, again, he was going to have to pit at some point anyway. So he's looking now for sure doing a two-stopper, and he'll have fresh tires, and we'll see what he does. But what we talked about is exactly what happened. He caught a lap traffic, some lap cars, and they had a problem. And that was just disorienting for you because you're going so fast, and he was going, and boom, he lost his concentration for just a second, and that was it.
Wow. So a turn of events, and that's exactly what we were talking about, folks, in road racing. Way, way different. You would think, everybody's like, well, man, he's just dominating out there with a 6-second lead. Like I said, it can get wiped away in one turn, and that was a perfect example right there. Mike, you and I know. It got wiped away in one turn. Well, it looked like there for a second he was going to be able to save it. It just was going to run off the track, but then it just kept going and hit that internal wall. I think he would have been okay if it would not have hit the wall. I think he might have actually been able to hold on to the lead or maybe just dropped a second or so. But right now, back in 14th, he went in, he got his new car, so he's going to have some work to do to get back up. Got no doubt that he doesn't have a fast enough machine to get it done. But, man, I tell you, just like that in one turn, huge turn of events here for him.
Yeah, huge turn of events. It'll be very interesting to see when guys make their pit stops how much of that ground he makes back up, if not all of it, just on the stop alone. But he's obviously going to have a lot more traffic to deal with right now working back up to the field. So he's by no means out of this thing. But now you got to battle for the lead with Yatito and Daniel B. Johnson. It's only 1.7 seconds, and Joey Haynes is only 1.6 back from them. And this is an interesting battle because you've got Forge versus Kinetic here, 1-2. Brian Halleck now takes over third.
You know why? Joey Haynes just spun it, coming around the turn right there. Lost it. Wow.
Yeah, last corner right out of the bus stop chicane.
Turn 20, came right out of it and just lost it. And we've seen that all night long, so this might be something we're really going to keep an eye on it. And a lot of these guys, folks, it really, I base off this league being a very road race oriented style. Most of these guys are very road race experts out here, but man, they are having a hard time here at Spa tonight. I don't know if it's set up track or just, maybe the car. I'm not very familiar when it comes to Grand Prix on this track. Again, I'm more familiar with, GTE 3 style cars here. So I know you're obviously looking at a lighter car, probably way more horsepower than what a GT3 has. Is that, the differences here, what will that do? As far as like speed and maybe what these guys are used to?
Right. So the FW31 is basically the 2009 version of the F1 car in real life. And, I think I've heard it described this way before, and I think it's accurate that, an F1 car is essentially it's a rocket, right? It's a rocket with wheels. And that's true. And most of the guys out here, they have lots of experience on road courses, but you're right. The FW31 is a very underutilized car in iRacing in general. F1 racing and iRacing is not that popular. And so not too many guys have a lot of experience in this car, even though they've raced this track a ton of times. A good example is, when you're running a GT3 car around here, like for the 24 hours of Spa, you're doing that in like 2 minutes and 18 seconds, 2 minutes, 17 seconds. They're running minute 50s. You're talking about 20, 25 seconds faster per lap in this car versus a GT3. So it gives you an idea of the reflexes that you've got to have. It gives you the idea of, when a mistake happens, just how quickly that is going to happen, and how catastrophic that is going to be. So, this is just a new combo. That's the thing about the majors is that, we put people in difficult situations on purpose, right? We try to make you uncomfortable. We try to test, how well-rounded you are as a driver. And this is a good example. One of the things in our schedule every year, we have 14 rounds every year, and every single year, one of the requirements of our schedule is that we have one modern F1 race. And so last year it was the Brazilian Grand Prix. This year it's Belgium. But anyway, it is always one of the toughest rounds on drivers, just from a skill perspective, because it's so far out of the norm.
And I love it. I love the diversity here in the majors. I've said it time and time again. I like the fact that there's a lot of different, races. And one that I'm really looking forward to, don't want to get away from this one, is obviously the Bathurst race coming up here soon. But y'all have had dirt, oval, road, all kinds of different style racing. And discipline, and that actually shows, the drivers. We've got a good battle right here. Joey Haynes. Oh, contact in front of Haynes. I don't know who that was. Actually Ronald. Oh, we saw that one right there. Ronald Overbay. If I can watch it one more time. Man, he had contact, it looked like, with Zachary up there. It was a good 3-car battle going on. Yeah, then Joey Haynes just popped the back end.
Well, Ronald unfortunately got in the way, and he lost it out of La Source on his own, and then somebody clipped him, and then he's coming slow through Eau Rouge, and that is a recipe for disaster. Yeah, here, this is him going through La Source, and it's
he lost it going out. Okay, I just different.
And then somebody clips him, and I don't know who that was, but now you're going to see him going through La Source slowly, and a slow car, or not La Source, Eau Rouge. When a slow car is going through Eau Rouge, anybody coming up behind him is dead, because you have to hit the marks in Eau Rouge. There's no variance. You don't have any opportunity to do something different. Oh, and we see Joey spin it again.
Well, yeah, I was watching that replay earlier. That was with Joey spinning coming out of turn 20 there. It's just showing that folks see it. I was trying to see what happened there with Ronald and so forth, because or that Zachary was close to him, but I guess not there. But unfortunately, Joey Haynes back in 6 ever since he has spun. Now it looks like Dale Green is going to scoot right up underneath him. So just like that, we're starting to see some drivers lose some pace here early on.
Yeah, you want to watch out for guys like Dale Green, and Christopher Sherburne. Chris Sherburne down in 24th, and maybe he's struggled a little bit today. But these are really road specialists, and also Stephen Paulson. Those are all members of Section 8. It's a newer team this year. It's the junior team to Sector 5 Racing, who races in the pro split. But these guys are definitely road heavy. I expect Stephen and Dale to have good races today, keeping it clean, keeping the car under them, and probably won't make a lot of highlights, but will end up top 10, top 5 maybe even.
I'm trying to look, because you mentioned Chris. I'm looking at him. He's still on pits. He's all tore up, and I'm trying to look back here on my.
He had an incident, and he probably. There it goes.
I was looking back here to see, because it didn't flash up on my notice over here that off track or anything. Yeah, so I was scrolling back here to see a replay, so maybe he got caught up on one of the other wrecks out there earlier, but yeah, just unfortunate there for him because he's been on pit road for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I think he had to take a tow. He was missing his whole front nose.
Take that on. Now he's off back on track here. Let's check up with Mark Stevenson here. Remember earlier on, he's got the new car out there. He hit the wall, 13th. Now, with what we're seeing, it does not look like he is making up much ground, even on the newer tires of everybody else. What that kind of tells me right there is I mean, if you look at the lap times, yes, he's a lot faster. This place, well, I think he's a lot faster. Actually, he's a minute 58 his last time. Actually, Chris ran a minute 50.19. Top three are all a minute 50 right on it, so Zachary ran 50. Kind of tells me right there that they're awful close time-wise. Top 13, 14. And if you're that close, it's going to be a hard, long day here for him to make up some time.
Yeah, it will be, but you need to remember that everybody that's ahead of him has not made their first pit stop. Now, some of them may only be making one. We don't know. We don't know the strategy yet. So, in about a lap or two, we're going to start to see some of those leaders come in, and that'll give us the indication that that guy's on a two-stopper, or that guy's on a two-stopper, and anybody who stays out past, say, lap 19, 20, we're going to know, okay, that guy's on a one-stopper. So it's going to be very interesting to see how much time they lose per lap. You were talking about them hitting minute 50s even, and they're all very even. As the run goes on, they're going to get slower as those tires wear out, and we'll see, how well, like I said, how well they can manage them. And Mark's going to pass guys as they pit, but again, he's going to have to pit one more time, and he's going to have one of these stints is going to be really long, and so managing the tires at the end of that stint is going to be the critical thing to being able to actually
get it now.
All back. Yeah, exactly.
That's what that's the next thing I was going to say is you mentioned it right there. He pitted a lap 7. Unfortunately, not something he wanted to do. It actually puts him in a little bit of a hole to have to kind of stretch out the fuel, stretch out the tires on one stint. So that might be what he's doing right now, maybe just holding up, which he's running about the same times he was for all the guys up front there. Could be something like kind of being good as we see JF Golden coming in pit road now.
Yeah, so if he didn't have an error okay, he did. Okay, so I was going to say this could be our first of our two stoppers, but it would be a little on the early side.
Now, I'm seeing too, no penalty for running off, is there? Usually there is.
So yes, at Spa, there's not very many time penalties or course cut penalties in terms of slowdowns. But the thing about Spa is that the off tracks are really strict, and so these guys are racking up incident points every time they go. And there's an incident limit in the race of 35. So there's a 44 lap race, 35 incident limit. So if you hit even just one off track a lap, you're going to be disqualified at lap 35. So staying inside the white lines is really important. And like I said, this is not an easy combo. So that is easier said than done, especially at this track.
And like I say, we've already seen several of the top guys already have some incidents, wreck right there. See Mark Stevenson makes it around. Ernie Lugwit, good to see old Ernie out there. He's had an up and down season here in the Sportsman. He started out pretty good, strong, but kind of afterwards just really has not done so well. He's had some up and down races.
Yeah, Ernie, I put Ernie in that same boat as Matt Gildner, where a lot of promise at the beginning of the season and really shooting for a championship, really, and has seen some not as ideal finishes sort of torpedo that a little bit. But Ernie's not one to ever give up. He's a long-time veteran of the series, and you'll see him fighting right to the end. And I imagine he's going to chip away at the points just little by little.
Absolutely. How about Robert Covey? Just made his pit stop at 13. So what I'm thinking, those we was talking about, trying to think about a two-stop tonight. Back in 13th as of right now. And Mark Stevenson off the track and tore that car up again. Ouch.
Yikes. Okay. Yep. That's.
Let's go back and watch.
Yeah. While you're reeling that up, I was just going to comment on Mark had passed Robert, who was on a normal pit strategy, which was going to bode well for Mark, but then this happened.
Around the turn, looks pretty solid right now, but man, I tell you, that's devastating right there. It pretty much dashes all hopes of him getting back up front because he tore the front wing, and it just, that's a single spin. He just lost it. That thing just violently came out from under him.
Yeah, it's all about when you get on throttle. I mean, that's 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And Mark is now, he's used his spare car, and now he's got a car that's dramatically beat up. So he may go in and try to get it repaired and get out, or he may be done for the day. This is not the kind of racing, unfortunately, grind it out. He's going into the pits right now. But here's the thing on his points lead, and you can't do this too many times, but in the majors you do have 2 drop rounds, 1 oval and 1 road, and his season has been so good that he has almost no bad races to drop. So that would be the one, right? And so his point standings will almost be unaffected by 1 bad race. Now you take a second one, and now things start to hurt. But he's got some insulation, and this may in fact be the race that comes into play. But
now it just gave him a whole new wing.
Well, so maybe he didn't take his spare car the last time, because the iRacing damage model will allow you to replace wings on this wheel cars. So you can get a brand new wing on this car, brand new nose cone. It's part of the repair model. But in this case, he clearly got it immediately because it didn't take any time. So I'm guessing on the first time that he got an incident, he did not use his spare car, and he just got it repaired. And so he's in better shape than we thought.
Okay. And it's interesting. I mean, I didn't know that so on an open wheel car like the Grand Prix, you don't have to use the fast fix if it tears the wing off. iRacing will actually give you one.
Correct. So I mean, if you damage the suspension, the under tray, things of that nature, things that aren't repairable. So this is essentially trying to simulate real life as much as possible. I mean, they can pop off and pop one on, and same thing with the Dallara Indy cars. They have the same setup. Where if you've just and his first wreck, remember he nosed it into that fence, right? And so that was the only thing that was damaged on the car was the nose. So he probably elected just to get that wing replaced, and that was really smart on his part because it saved him his spare car, and now he's back out there.
And then the second one looks like the same thing. He just kind of nosed into it. So I'm gonna tell you what, if you need some luck, there you go. That's about as lucky as you're going to get.
Yeah, that's right. But that time, I'm positive he used the spare car because the repair was so fast. So, so we can count on that he does not have a spare car in his pocket. But good on him for being smart about that the first time around.
I just really, the way he lost that car, I'm really kind of concerned now on how the setup is because, obviously we know he's fast and he's definitely, if he gets out front, he's there. But what does this do to the psyche of a driver? Now you've spun twice just by yourself, losing it. What does that do now? Because you have a fast machine, but does it mess with the psyche of a driver going, okay, do I push this car now? Am I as confident as I was? Yeah, sometimes that can affect a driver.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. You're 100% right. And I was mentioning earlier that he has said this week multiple times that he did not love this car. And I'm being nice. I'm toning that down. So I thought, is he playing possum? Is he just sort of, rope-a-dope, whatever? But that is apparently not the case. So this is not his favorite combo. And now he's had a couple of incidents. And so hopefully he can just settle it down, bring it home, this is still probably going to be his drop race based on current trajectory,
right?
But it may not be as bad as it was going to be, and that's going to save him a potential worse race down the road. So these are things you got to think about when you're fighting for a championship. Is I know I've got a drop week, but I can't just waste it, and I can't just give up. And there's a testament to that. He's had 2 bad incidents, but he's back out there grinding, and he's in 14th place out of 30 cars with 2 wins. That tells you how fast the guy is. So he's still in this thing. Christian Tito back up at the top is gapped Daniel by 4.5 seconds. Be interesting to see if he can keep that going.
Now, my thing too is when you're talking about the drop week, I mean, he doesn't have to pick that right after. He could wait till like the last race of the season, can he?
So the drop weeks are applied automatically, and they start after round 4. So we automatically apply the drop weeks based on your 2 worst finishes,
Okay.
your worst road and your worst oval. So a driver doesn't pick it. It's not a provisional round. It's nothing like that. You don't get provisional points. You just lose your worst finish on the year. And so drivers are already in that situation where we have eliminated their worst race. And so in Mark's case, because his worst race is so good, he's actually got a ton of points in pocket.
Yeah.
And when he has a worse race, he's actually going to gain points. And people will look at that and say, well, hey, how'd that happen? This guy finished from 30th and he gained points. Well, because he had a 200-point race in pocket that wasn't counting. So that's one of the things you always have to be aware of, is where you are with your drop and where your competitors are with their drop. And if you can minimize, if you can be as consistent as Mark has been, your drop week's not going to be so bad, and that's going to really help your points when you do have a rough race.
Good battle here. Robert Covey and got Ernie Ludwig right there battling out. That's around about the 9th, 10th place spot. Like Robert just went right around him, and
yeah, Robert is obviously on
Zach's on pit road.
Yeah, Zach, his first pit stop, and that's lap 18, so he's a little tougher to tell. It looks like it's probably a 2-stopper, but he may have gone a little bit long on that first run, which is really, if that's the case, that's awesome, because that'll be his slowest run, and gives him a little bit of insurance for the last run, or the last 2 runs, I should say.
Interesting with how they do the pit stops on the cars, and I know we talked before, like with the cars. Pit time there, not bad. I mean, the whole pit stop second, kind of on par with what a NASCAR style stop would be. Take 4 tires and fuel, but a lot slower than what the Indy cars are, or a lot faster than what the Indy car was. Cause he was talking about that before, and they said or the LMPs also. It's just how the fuel delivery is done and how the tires are done here. That it was interesting when we were talking back before. I think John Kington was telling me, like with the LMPs, that they do change the tires first, then they put the fuel in, not a simultaneous type of thing. It looks like the same way with this car, because it went up tires, and I'm not sure fuel's going in at the same time. Maybe you can know 100% on how that's done.
Yeah, so tires and fuel are going in at the same time.
Okay.
But this is the interesting thing about this car, but it gives them a little more strategic play. So current F1 regulations are no refueling at all. So they are packed to the gills at the start of the race, and they have what they have, and they cannot refuel it at all. That's current F1 regulations, and So pit stops are tires only, and in current F1, you see 2.5 to 3.5 second stops all the time, which is insane. In 2009 era and earlier, when refueling was an option, you would see 10 second, 12 second stops, which is a good stop. But that's the other thing about the 2-stop versus 1-stop. If you take a 2-stop, you are going to have a little bit lighter fuel load. But you're obviously going to be putting fuel in. Somebody who does a 1-stop, maybe, somebody may be doing this where they packed it full, and when they do their first stop, all they're doing is tires. So there's so many different ways to do this. You just don't know what the guy's, holding in their hand until they show it. And it looked like I don't know who was. It's just Pitt had a fast pit, but it was 2-stop strategy. They added fuel, added tires, and that's going to be a pretty standard pit stop.
And that's interesting, like you talk about in real life with the F1 not being able to take fuel. So fuel mileage, I mean, that ever become a huge factor? I mean, I don't. And the reason I ask that is because I don't watch a lot of the F1.
Yeah, no, huge. I mean, you have to plan for certain tracks. It's easy, they make it no problem. And other tracks, they know, like a track like Spa or a track like Monza, where you're on throttle the whole time, you're burning fuel like crazy. And so you are going to have to manage that. So you're not just managing the tires, you're managing your fuel. And so part of that is making sure you're in the draft whenever you can be. Part of that is making sure that you aren't wasting fuel unnecessarily at any point during warm-up laps, which they do in F1, or coming out of the pits, etc. You are going to make sure that your inputs are on par. We have a wreck.
Yeah, Jeff Angus off track. Let's go back and see what happened to him right here.
Yeah, George Angus, UDOX driver. He's had a quietly good season too.
And it looks like the same thing has happened to everyone else. And now he looks like, boy, he looks maybe some suspension damage on that one because they hit that tire.
I agree. Yeah.
Looks straight, but it hit the wing on the front, but it did hit that tire, so I don't know if it's going to affect him. But same thing I'm seeing all night long, just going into the turns, and these things are just being kind of wicked loose. We've seen some of the top drivers all night long. Thing happened to them.
Yeah, and it'll keep happening. So like I said, it's the guy that does the least and the guy that keeps grinding. It's gonna. You have no idea, where it's gonna finish right now. I mean, Chris continues to build his lead slowly and steadily. He's up to 5-second lead now, but pit stop's gonna make a big impact on that, and any incident's good too. Brian Halleck is actually closing in a little bit on Daniel for second, so he's only 2 seconds back. We'll see if he can't start chipping away. I wonder if you could tell us what the lap time differences are between like a Brian Halleck and a Chris Tito right now.
Lap time difference between last lap, Brian ran a 149.99 to Daniel's 150.25, so roughly 6 hundredths difference.
Yeah, about 3/10. So it's not a lot in a track like this, but it's enough. You do it enough times and you start chipping away.
Oh, absolutely. And where he's actually gaining too, and another thing, here's gaining a little bit in sector 1 and sector 4 is here. Sector 2 than him there, but 4 sectors obviously to the track. But there's 20 turns to this place here, folks. It's a huge track in retrospect, so 20 turns all in all. But sectors basically mean where they actually time where they are on the track. It's kind of different timing markers, position, and not exactly sure where they are on track. I'd have to look that one up. But
yeah, I'm not either, to be honest with you. But and they're long, they're big sectors here, obviously.
Roy Haynes, correct again. Yes,
oh no,
tore the car up. Yeah, go back and watch here and see.
He got the rear wing all bent up, everything.
So another one, earlier he spun. Don't know if he took one and just lost it out of the turn and right there into the wall. It tore up the side and that one, and then he just toes it right into pit lane. But yeah, it tore the back up, front up. Don't know if it got the suspension. It did tear the side up. So if anything, hopefully he didn't use his fast fix, replacement car there to be able to get back out. But again, another top runner and just trouble already here at Spa. So, even though Chris is out front dominating, Daniel's right there, and Brian kind of got a, we talked earlier like a guy like Mark who was dominating earlier. I mean, just when I say dominant, it was flat out six seconds ahead, and then lost it, and then lost it again. How it does to a psyche to a guy like that. What does it do to a guy like Chris to know that, okay, some of the top guys are having trouble? I don't know what I need to do now.
Well, that's true. Obviously, if you're uncomfortable with the car or the combination at all to begin with, and then you have something that just reinforces that, it's going to be tough on you for sure. But for anybody else who's just kind of staying steady and seeing people make mistakes, Dale Green is now moving up to 7th. He's maybe a good example of that. Robert DeLoach is in 4th. He's just been hanging on. We haven't seen him hardly at all today, but he's just hanging in.
Chris on pit road.
Chris is on pit road. So he is doing a one-stopper. He's at lap 22. This is exactly halfway. So he managed that first stint brilliantly. We'll see, and that's a Forbes driver. So I wonder if that's not. Oh yeah, he's got his teammate Brian. Yep.
I wonder if Robert's coming. Yep, Robert's coming.
Going to. So this is the Ford strategy: is the one stop, and not that's when you feel. Typically, the one stop is the one you use when you feel good about your car and about your performance, and the two stop would be the one you would use if you were a little less sure. So Ford obviously felt good about what they had under them, and so far they got first, second, and third, first, third, and fourth, and right now on track Daniel from Kinetic is in first, but he has to pit yet, so he's actually going a lap longer, which is interesting.
And he's actually had a pretty solid machine out there, like I say, for the Kinetic Motorsports guys. And but it's been, I will have to say, it's been all Ford's racing so far in the Sportsman division. Obviously Mark Stevenson, the man that's dominated a lot of that. You got Rob DeLoach right there, coming off pit road, and Chris Yatito made it off. Got to see now, pretty much like you said, after one stop, that's what they wanted. Make no mistakes. Because, it's still... We talked about setups. We talked about, obviously we know the teams and, the Ford's Racing, the Kinetic. I'm going to say it's probably two of the top teams. You see a lot of them out there. But as far as setups goes, I've never really asked or never really talked to any of the team drivers. When they do a setup, are they all the same? Or, because, in real life, not every driver is the same. So we just saw Mark, we'll take that, pretty much slide and lose it twice on his setup and on his car. And we just talked about, does that do anything as far as the back of the mind of Chris? Does he feel like, okay, if I've got the same setup, or if I'm very, very confident in the setup I've got, then I won't lose it?
Right. Yes, I can't speak for Forge whether they're all running this exact same stuff. Typically, I would say that the teams have a base setup that they're working from. They'll have a setup builder for that week who builds the 98% of the setup, and then the driver will tweak it to their liking after that. You could trim it out more. You could have less downforce, and for a guy who feels comfortable with the car, you might do that. You have a little less rear wing, but that's gonna bite you more easily coming out of a corner. You get on throttle a little bit quick. So each guy may have a slightly different thing under them. But if they are running the same thing, then you're exactly right. You see your teammate having trouble. It's kind of like in NASCAR. You see a guy's engine blows. You're like, whoa, what's going to happen to me? So yeah, similar type of deal.
Now, interesting here, Daniel Johnson just came out. He's about a 1.5 second behind Chris. Remember, he stayed out a little longer. And I know, and it's got to be the same thing for these cars, and I got to take it back to what we was talking about with oval racing tires. A place like this will be crucial on tires over the course of a run. Staying out just a little bit, I'm going to say, should give Daniel a slight advantage as the run goes on, and I think that's maybe what he's banking on. Whoa, we just saw a car in front of him.
Sure did.
Let's see. Maurice. Go back and see what happened. But while we're watching this replay here, that's going to be interesting to watch, that battle there, because difference in tire wear and fuel.
Well, you got to remember, going into the pit cycle, Daniel was like 4.5 seconds back of Chris Tito, and he's cut 3 seconds out of that. So that's partly the fact that his last lap, his in lap, was really good. Obviously, I'd like to see the time. Oh, and there goes Maurice around. But his last in lap had to be super good, and I wonder if his pit stop wasn't even a little bit quicker, because he cut 3 seconds out of the lead in that section.
All right, his pit stop. An idea was pit stop for Chris was. Now, there's two numbers to look at here. Obviously, the time in, pit, and out. And his pit stop in itself for Chris was 11.57. His total time, which again is from the time they crossed the line in through their whole pit stop and when they crossed the line out, was a 43.90. Daniel Johnson had an 11.7, but his total time was 43.92. He actually was somewhere in between the time of into the pits to his pit box and out of his pit box to the time off track is where he lost a little time. But as far as his pit stop goes, gained an awful lot of time there. But again, I think the tires have allowed him, and by him staying out on track like he did, he has, like I said, cut into that lead. Now, time-wise, that last time really wasn't a good indication. That showed him at a 2 minutes 18:11. Does when he crosses the line again.
Yeah.
A little update, but obviously Chris is still running the 151s. We've seen everybody running 150s earlier. Chris could be conserving. I mean, you know, that still is something you want to think about. Even though he's out front, even though he took the one stop, he's still got to be there. And we're going to see what Daniel runs here. Crosses the line. Or should update. Yep, he ran a 150.32 to a 150.18, so they're running almost identical time.
Yeah, and those are fast for the first laps out of the pits because, again, you got to remember they're going to be as full on fuel as they will be. So in an F1 car, it's a little bit different than in a lot of disciplines where your fastest lap is always the first lap. That's almost never the case in an F1 car. There's a happy medium here of where my tires are still really good, but my car is getting lighter. So in these cars, depending on the weather, depending on the track temperature, you know, you're going to be a few laps into a run before you hit your fastest lap. As a matter of fact, in real F1, it is almost always the case that the fastest lap of the race happens at the end of the race, and it is almost always at the end of a stint where they are lightest on fuel.
Oh, Mark Steve. Off track again. So his night is just not getting any better. Looks like he just looped it. Didn't hit anything that time. He just looped it coming out of turn 20.
Yeah, the
little S's. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. But, you know, we say that, you know, we talk about Mark struggling, but look where he's at, 9th. He's still top 10.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, if anybody's got luck on his side and good fortune there tonight, it's got to be Mark. I mean, if he comes out of here with the top 10, I'm going to say he's probably going to be thinking that's a win-win.
100%, you're right. But it's not just, obviously luck is an impact, but it's just speed. And here comes old Dominic Warwick in the pits as well. He's in 24th now.
What old Zachary's doing here is he's still up into the 8th place spot. Right now I'm trying to look at that battle up front. It's not growing. It's growing a little bit, but I'm gonna tell you, those two guys are almost dead even on their lap times. It was 150. They're both running 150s, but one of them ran a 0.453. It is just so close. I mean, Chris is still pick faster, and over time, yes, that lead will go out, grow, and get a lot bigger.
Yeah, it might, but you're right. Those guys seem to be glued. Brian seems to have fallen off of that. But if the first stint is a similar indication, it seemed like Brian was quicker at the end of the run as he started to gain on Daniel. I wonder if the same will happen again. But interestingly here, Rob has fallen way off of Brian. I wonder what happened to him.
Not sure. He's running at 152.41. It was his last time around. I got to go back. I mean, they're forged drivers, and I know they're communicating as a team, which, that's what you need. And maybe, again, they're looking at, and Mark's having such a bad run tonight, or, it's a misfortune out there. And then we've seen Zachary, the same thing, who have, probably the top drivers, and Rob's thinking, hey, maybe my setup's a little close to what Mark's is. Folks, I'm telling you, it's like what Mike said. It's like NASCAR. If one of your teammates blows a motor, your motor's built by the same guy. That's not like setups. So if one of those blows, you're sitting there now in the back of your mind of, hey, do I push this thing or do I go? What's going to happen to me? And it can play into the mind of a driver. And I think maybe, not sure, 100% sure, but maybe Rob's just being patient here and okay, got a good points night going on. Want to mess that up, and he's going around the lap car there.
I think that's Dominic coming out of the pits probably. But Yeah, so that could be the case, Rob. That might be him just taking it easy. I think he might have had some trouble somewhere, maybe getting on or off pit road. I don't know, but he was a lot closer to Brian than that 26 seconds. So, but he's 8 seconds clear of Dale. But look at Dale. Like I was talking about him earlier, that Section 8 driver, just slowly working his way up. He's now 5th. You look at Stephen Paulson 16th, so he's not been perfect. Ernie Ludwig's 13th. Everybody's not necessarily done with their pit stops, but anybody who's one stop in this thing is actually
Ernie pitted on lap 23. He pitted on lap 23, so I think he's looking at a one stop.
Yeah, Ernie's definitely a one stopper. So he'll gain spots as the two stoppers come in their second time. Casey Sawich, he started at the back of the field, I think 30th or 29th or something. He's up to 22nd, so that's good. He had a real good run last round at Knoxville, and he's been a consistent player all year. It's good to see him doing well.
It is. Got a lot of guys out here. Some guys love certain tracks, some guys don't. Battle right here going on around about the 19th place spot, that big 5 with Courtney. And Edgar, know where to start on that last name, or maybe you do.
Oh, Sanchinelli, Edgar Sanchinelli.
Okay, there you go. Appreciate it. Thank you for that. Apologize out there to him, but Edgar making a pass on him. He's up to 19th. That's the thing. We just look through this field here and kind of see the difference of battles and guys out here. But like what you was mentioning earlier, the battle between second, third, and fourth is really tight.
Really tight, yeah. And you look, who you've got on screen right now, Robert Covey. He's been working his way up the standings and starting to feel a lot more confident in his ability to compete with these guys round in and round out. And he's also, I want to give a kudos to him. He's been really generous with his time and his expertise in setup building. He's dedicated a Discord server to it to help other drivers sort of learn a new car and a new track, and been big kudos, much appreciated.
Absolutely. So Robert's looking really fast, really good out there so far. A lot of these drivers. Dak still hanging on to that 8th place spot. And all this, man, and got to give a shout out to, I love what the majors do. As folks were here tonight, the Belgian GP here, the Major Sportsman Series. If you want to check out the pro guys, check them out over on GSRC, over there on the iRacing.com on YouTube. There's many different splits. It's an American split going on right now. As this is the Sportsman Series, like I say, the Pro Series. There's many different style splits they do here at the majors. But I also like the foundations that they give to. They always have a charity for each one of the races. The Child Fund International, and it's out there at the bottom of the screen. So definitely love what the majors do as far as charities for each race that they put out. And what tonight, got these Grand Prix cars running, and some of the top guys already having some trouble, but drop weeks they do have still. We got Chris Yatito and the man out front all night long.
Yeah, he's once Mark had his trouble, he's picked it up, and but now look, Daniel's only 1 second back, so it's closing in fast, and that's about the closest battle up and down the whole grid. So it's gonna be, I think this could be coming down to it. I hope it does. That'd be super fun.
Yes, it will. One right now is these guys
interrupt you, but he's in his toe, so they're coming up the Kemmel Straight, and Daniel is in tow, so he's in draft range, and it's on now.
All right. See if actually. What about Brian Bullock? Oh yeah, Daniel. Yeah, he's closed in at gap. And look, as far as time, remember how close they were the last lap? Daniel ran a 1:52.3, and it's what I mentioned earlier. Could now the tires becoming a difference of factor here? Remember, Daniel stayed out a couple laps different, more than what Chris did, and a lot of people might say, well, that's only 2 laps through that. A track like this, that's huge.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Every advantage you can give yourself, and it's coming to play right now. And again, he's there. He's 0.7 back, so as long as he doesn't make a mistake, he's not going to lose ground. It's going to be a matter of how does he handle the aero wash going into a corner? Is he going to be able to make a pass, or is he going to just sit back and maybe pressure Chris into hopefully making a mistake? The mind games here is going to be critical. If he can put a lot of heat on Chris and hopefully force him into something from his perspective anyway, or does he want to get this done and dusted right away and get by him and gone if he thinks he's got the pace to get away from him? But if he thinks that they're pretty equally matched, and personally I think they're pretty equally matched, so if I was him, I'd sit here for a minute, see if he can't force a mistake out of Chris.
Yeah, it is. Right now it's a good run in between those guys, and we'll just have to see, because the closer you get to him, and obviously I know the relative, and he is getting closer. I mean, he ran at 152.7.
Yeah, right now, watch. He's gonna slingshot right up to him now. Whether he backs out, I think he is. He's not close enough to make a pass. But what is it, 0.7? So that's going to be where you want to watch this happening. Is as they go through Eau Rouge, Radillon, and the Camel Straight. So that's going to be where his most opportune spot is going to be when he wants to make a pass, if he wants to make a pass. Because right now you can see that Chris is kind of stabilized at that 0.7, 0.8. But it's coming up that long draft stretch when he's inside that second that he's going to be able to make up ground just on arrow.
Absolutely. So, what to see? I mean, it's heating up for the lead. Awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And I gotta feel that's all about the tires right there. Now, does Chris step it up here? I mean, does he start pushing that car a little bit? And if he does, then he's got to worry about whether or not Daniel's looked pretty solid for the most part this whole entire race. Jason's on pit road, coming off of it. I would say, though, if Daniel can get just a tick closer, might see him actually take that spot away.
Yeah, well, here they go. They're going through Eau Rouge once more, so this is going to be telling. I think this is a great camera shot, too, because we're going to see if he can close up on him. 0.9 right now.
It looked dead even. Actually, that time around, that last lap, Chris really picked it up, a 149.85 to 150.01, so maybe Chris was holding a little bit back just in preparation for this. And what's more amazing here, too, that's close to their best times. The best time of both of them is, Chris with a 149.65 and a 149.60. They're still not that far off to what their best times are tonight.
Yeah, that's right, and that's exactly what we should have predicted. So they're 8 laps into this run. This is the point where the tires are still good and the fuel is getting lighter, and so the car is getting faster. Now that's good. The tables are going to turn on that here shortly, and that'll be very interesting to see how these guys handle it. But yeah, Chris has really held off Daniel for this point. He's now stretched back out to a second. So that's pretty cool. And you can see it really is a two-man battle at this point because Brian is now falling back off to 9 seconds. So, barring mistakes, and as they're going around lap cars, barring mistakes, these two guys are going to fight it out.
Yes. And another thing that we really haven't mentioned a lot of, and it really plays a huge deal when it comes to any style road racing, is how you set your car up. And what I'm noticing right here with Daniel, he gains a lot in the very sharp turns going into the turns. He could have a very stable style setup, one that I almost liked running, where the car is very stable. You can throw it in the turns, a lot of downforce. But it looks like where Chris has that advantage is those long straightaways and the power. He could have a less downforce style setup because you can see him when they go up the hill right there, and he's just doing nothing but pulling away.
I think you nailed it exactly correct. I think that the Forge cars are trimmed out for the straights. It's sort of like for how Ferrari does it, where their straight line speed has got an advantage. But when you talk about the corners, Mercedes has got them over a barrel. So I think you're 100% correct. Now, with that in mind, this is the important thing. If I were Daniel, he needs to try to get by Chris. And the reason is that the Forge cars, if they are trimmed out the way we expect that they are, based on this performance that we're seeing, they're going to struggle more in dirty air. And we got somebody going around. They're going to struggle more. They're going to struggle more in dirty air than the kinetic cars. So Daniel's going to want to put Chris in a position where he's in dirty air, and that hasn't happened for a long time.
Absolutely. And we can see, and that actually might explain a little bit on Mark Stevenson's end right there, losing it. And Zachary, if those cars are set up more, and just folks, people that might not know out there, what we're talking about basically is a car. All these cars. When you talk about an Indy car or Grand Prix car, these things are almost planted anyways. But you still, with so much power and so much how they turn and the responsiveness of them, you still can set those wings up to where they don't have a lot of downforce. And you can set them up to turn really well or have a lot of straight line speed and basically less wing in the rear or the front. And it could be an indication of how Mark spun earlier and Zachary spun. But I'll tell you, Mark Stevenson back up to 7th, Zachary back up to 5th. So a bounce back by them. Definitely a huge one. And Marcus made his second pit stop. Now, he made that second pit. This is interesting. You tell me, is he going to have to make a 3-stop here? Because he pitted at lap 14.
Right. So he doesn't have to, but on tires, he almost has to, if that makes sense. So,
yep.
If he rolls the dice and stays out, and if he makes it, then he could maintain his position. The guys in front of him are all on one-stop strategies, every one of them. And so if he pits again for tires, which is the safest thing to do, he's going to lose spots. He may be able to regain some, but he's going to lose some. If he stays out and doesn't have an issue, he could be great, but he's really risking it with the tires at that point.
Well, a lot of guys behind him right there with Daniel Davis, JF Golden. They came in at lap 22. He came in at 14. So we're going to see the big differences of tires right now of what they can do. I'm very impressed with Chris up front because he has stepped it up. I think he saw Daniel was gaining huge on him. And now he has stepped it up. He's running 149.37 times. That's his best time of the race. That wow. Going to get caught up by a little bit of lap traffic right here. It might slow him up a little bit. He'll eventually get around him. But, man, he saw Daniel Johnson moving in and then just almost immediately turned the wick up.
Oh, wow. This is interesting.
That car didn't give it easy, did it?
Didn't make it easy, and that's a kinetic car fighting a forged car. And in the series, blue flags are advisory only, so they don't have to move over, but they need to play nice. There's no sort of block in here, but he helped his teammate out a little bit there. Daniel's back under 2 seconds, so interesting.
And Daniel did pick it up a little bit. He ran 149.91. Kind of tells him the fuel's kind of wearing off on him and so forth. But I still say if Chris keeps up this pace, it's going to be hard there unless he just makes a mistake on the track, because now he's just pulling away again. Daniel Johnson finally makes it around his the lap car there, but still he lost a lot of time, and is still losing a lot of time.
Yeah, 2.7. So that's not good as far as he's concerned. So Chris is super impressive. I agree with you. When a guy comes up on you and makes gains on you like Daniel did, that can be unnerving, and it did not seem to rattle Chris at all. So kudos.
Absolutely. So a battle going on. Well, actually coming out of pits, there's Maurice. He's on a one stop because second one at lap 33.
Wow.
Pauling, talked about him earlier. He's up to 16th right now. Passing Jeff was back in 17th.
Yeah, remember Jeff was the pole sitter, so we know he's got speed. Be interesting, and we haven't really seen him since. He had that weird toe. I wonder if he didn't have something happen in real life, that forced him to get a rig. It was just such a weird incident.
And here's another thing. I don't know how long he was on pit road before, that I don't know, but he has only made one pit stop, which was lap 31. So, yeah, definitely started out good, like I say, putting it on pole. But then saw him earlier in the race just pull off the track and then tow it. So, not sure technical problem or and obviously, folks, we're in a virtual world. Some things we can't control, Mother Nature or anything like that. Problem or have rigs and stuff, and it's the closest thing you can get to real racing. But it was just strange that he definitely just pulled off and towed the car. So
yeah, it was lap 1 too. So something happened, and I'm glad to see he got back out, and he's kind of just slowly working his way back up. So 17th, we'll see how much ground he can make. You see Mark's now back up to 6th, and Daniel is not able to make up any ground on Chris. You mentioned the charity, the child fund week, and I appreciate that. One thing people may not know is that we do a charity every week. It is a different charity every week, and that charity is actually nominated by a driver. At the end of the season, our top 50 drivers in points go to what is called the playoffs, and that's from all 3 regions, so Americas, European, and International. So we mix all 3 regions for a playoff event, and this year we'll actually have a Sportsman playoffs too. But anyway, so the top 50 drivers make it in, and then the first round is at a road course, and the top 25 from that road course advance to the second round, which is at an oval, and then the top 14 will make it out of there, and they go to a dirt race for the final. And basically, everybody who makes the top 14 gets to nominate the charity of their choice for the next year. So it's an honor. You may have a charity that's near and dear to your heart, and so if you fight to get into that final round of the playoffs, you automatically get to nominate a charity. And this one was nominated by Dwayne Burns. He's one of our international drivers from New Zealand. And this charity was important to him because he actually did an adoption of a kid, a virtual adoption through the Child Fund many years ago. And so I thought that was a pretty cool story.
Awesome, good deal, I like that. And that's one thing, like I say, it kind of sets the league here at the majors off a little difference. I love the diversity. I'll get that out of the tongue tie of the tracks, the cars. It's not the same thing, over and over. And plus, I've always said the full series style racing that is done here too makes it even more unique, and with the charities thrown in there. But I like that top 50. That definitely is a mix, especially putting 14 drivers at the end on a dirt. So you're talking about going from road to oval to dirt. That's 3 disciplines. And there's a lot of guys on iRacing that do that. I mean, there are some on here that are actually very good, but most of the time, for most drivers, say 80, 85%, say that way, you're going to find one is better than the other at a certain discipline style race. So that'll be interesting to see who gets locked down in the top 40.
Yeah, for sure. And to make it work, we do that all year long. Obviously, we put guys in different stuff all year round, from the ovals to road to dirt. We do all of those. But in the championship playoffs, it all happens on the same day within a 2-hour span. So they go this year. They're going to go from running Bathurst in GT3 cars, where we'll have 50 cars on the track, to running the Snowball Derby at 5 Flags in the super late models with 25 cars on the track, and then we're going to run the Chili Bowl with 14 cars on the track.
Nice.
And that's back to back to back.
What car are you using in the dirt?
Oh, the midget, of course. So
okay, the midget.
Yep. So it's a true Chili Bowl 50. It'll be a 50 lapper with 14 cars on track. And,
nice.
Yep. To crown our overall playoff champion. Yep.
What car are you using in the road and the oval?
Right. So road will be GT3 cars, so they'll be able to pick any GT3 car they want at Bathurst. Basically, it's mimicking the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour. It's only a 20-minute session, but that's the race that we're mimicking. And then the Snowball Derby will be a 50-lap race at 5 Flags with the super late model.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've actually broadcasted several of those Snowball Derbies. That's definitely a famed track, and done one Billy Bowl ones, and that's awesome. And we got a car just slapped the wall. I think that's Robert Covey.
Oh no. Was it? I still see him. Maybe it was.
That
Yeah,
was
you're right. You're right.
Robert Covey.
And that was right in front of Daniel Johnson. Oh my-
Yeah, and that's it caught my eye there. Just saw the bottom of it. Oh, he just lost it out of the turn. We've seen that all night long, and I don't know who that was, but there was very good reflexes there. And I'm glad they had a good runoff here at the track, but we have seen that all night long here, Mike.
Well, the car that got around him on the outside ended up wrecking. Unfortunately,
that might have been Jonathan Diggs then. The other one I seen it track. Then Jonathan Diggs and
it was
Jeff.
a bright green car. Yeah, I'm not sure who it was. It was a bright green car, went around Robert, and it looked like he might have hit the wall.
It could have been. It also said Jeff Hardman.
Yeah, I think that might be who it was because he's lost a couple spots.
Back in. It told me he went off track, so go back on the replay here real quick to see. No, he just spun on his own. Okay, so well, that's something we didn't see earlier.
That right at the final turn.
Sure, but it said Mark Stevenson done something right here. Man, I tell you, he's out of turn 20 again. Turn 20.
Up chicane, but no damage. He gets
No
his
damage. Yeah, going to lose several positions. Not too bad. Actually, he's only going to lose 2.
He did it at the same time as Jeff. That's funny.
And for a guy like Mark, you know, I mean, he's dominated the Sportsman series. I mean, to come out, if he comes out here, like I said, with a top 10, he's probably going to be hooping and hollering and going, whoo, you know, what a win. Especially from what you've said all week. Just not in there. JF just kind of pulls over, saw he was faster than his teammates. But especially from what you're saying all week, just not very happy with his car. And there's just some tracks, some car combinations that drivers, they just do not like at all.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I think that this is Mark's kryptonite, if you will. But so we got 4 laps to go, and 2-second lead. So it's not really growing much. It's not really shrinking much. And I wonder if Daniel's going to be able to hunt him down, if he's got anything left in the tank. Like you said, he's got 1 or 2 less laps on those tires. Is the last couple laps going to be where that comes into play? Because at this point, it's just these 2 guys for the win.
Well, I am watching the lap times, and I'll tell you this. Chris has fallen off a little bit again. Last lap was 150.17 to 149.60. So I don't know if Chris got far out in front and again is going, okay, let me save a little bit like he did before, because we never know. And this is the thing I always talk about. You know, that's why you have those relatives up as a driver. And if you get, to me, if you've got a 2-second lead, you could give up a second of that time if it's going to save you fuel and tires and whatnot, and still have a very good lead and be able to surely at the end, pick that back up, or at least maintain that second and a half gap. I'm not saying that's what Chris is doing, but on the flip side of that, and obviously this is what we like to try to hope and maybe look at, because it'll make it dramatic at the end, is like we said, the pit stop that actually Daniel did, the newer tires that he has over Chris will be a factor. But then again, we just saw right there, Chris just ran a 149.71, but still to a 149.62. Daniel is still closing, but only closing at that rate, he's going to run out of time on this track, because it's only 1.9, still 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's going to need a mistake from Chris. And to be honest, they're still this deep into a run. They're not quite 20 laps into this run, or maybe just about. And they're running it under sub 150s. That's super impressive.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another thing. And obviously, folks, we are definitely on a virtual world. And I'm noticing, I don't know what you're noticing, Daniel out there blinking all of a sudden. And Mark Stevenson again off track. So he's probably hoping, can we just hurry up and get done with these 4 or 5 laps here and get off this track and go somewhere else?
Yeah, exactly. But remember what we talked about was he going to try to stretch it from lap 14 to lap 44?
That's right. Yep.
That's what he's been trying to do, and the tires are telling him that ain't working, buddy.
No. But at this point, you
It's
know,
right now.
the old saying is, "You made your bed, you got to lay in it," and that's true in racing. At this point, he can't afford to go into the pits. Well, yeah, he really couldn't afford it because he would lose so much. I mean, we still got 20 drivers on the lead lap.
That's true, but he has what, a 20-second lead on Dale and another 17 to Jonathan. I mean, he could have pit and only lost a spot, but obviously at that point he's impossible to gain any spots. So with only 2 laps to go, so he's probably thinking it's best for me just to nurse it, and he's obviously wrangling a bull, but
yeah, I mean, you know, you're out there and you're going, well, I wish I could just come in and get new tires. This thing is driving, you know, terrible. I can barely get around. But like what you said, with the 20-second lead, that does ease your mind a little bit because he doesn't have to push the car. I don't feel... Well, he's 5 some odd seconds back from JF. And with 2 laps to go, don't really think, unless Jeff just makes a mistake, I don't think he's going to catch him. So I think 8th place is where he's at right now, which is still a win-win to him for everything that's went on tonight. I mean, he'll come out of here with a great points lead, still not that bad of a finish. That could have been disastrous. But with a 23 lead over Dale, he doesn't have to push that car as hard. So that does, you know, give him a little bit of confidence, or, you know, kind of like, okay, you know, yeah, the tires are dying, but maybe I ain't got to kill myself here.
Yep, exactly. And it looks like Daniel James had a problem, and Mark could catch him, but it's possible. But yeah, 1.9 seconds for the lead, 2 laps to go. It's going to be interesting.
It is, and last lap time, again, exactly what I was talking about, and I think it's basically what it was he's seeing that relative. Every time Daniel gets close, he just picks up the speed because his last lap was a 1:49.32 for Chris, 1:49.71. That is very impressive this late into the run. Wow, and it's basically, I think he's definitely just hanging on. And Daniel Davis falling off the pace here late. Mark is actually able to make up one position. I said he wasn't going to make up anymore, but there you go. Don't know what happened to Daniel. He didn't spin or anything.
Part of JF, and he must have spun, but he had an issue, and yeah, Mark's taking advantage. It'll be interesting to see if he can hold it.
He spun, he stayed on the track, but I'm not seeing where he went off the track anywhere over here to go back and look. Trying to look at his last lap. His last lap was a 1:55. To Mark, actually, wow. Mark Stevenson's last lap was a 1:49.25. I mean, that is still fast. Very fast. Actually, faster than...
Yeah, JF Godin had an issue, so Mark
JF went off the track. Yep.
Yeah, so speaking of the competitive curse, it's coming into full form.
And, you know, we were just talking about, I mean, there was a 5-second difference between JF Godin and Mark. And then just like this, we're watching a replay here in one turn, Mark. But I'm going to tell you, if Mark has stepped up the pace to be older tires. Watch this replay, and I just got a feeling just looped it coming out of the one of the turns here. But, yep. Oh. Held on to it. Bronco Bull there a little bit. Able to hold on to his watch, but I'm impressed. I got to give my hats off there. He ran 1:49.31. He is running faster than the leaders right now. That is very impressive for someone who had pitted on lap 14. That tells you right there, if the troubles wouldn't have been out, as the white flag's out one more time here, I got a feeling Mark would have probably had a dominating finish here if us would not. Now, does he have enough to catch Zachary? Zachary's going to have to pretty much blow up, wreck that car, so forth, but it's all this man right here, Chris. He's got one more time around this track.
Yep, let's see if he can hang on. 2.4 seconds. He can be really conservative, but sometimes if you do kind of shift into that mindset, that's a time where you're now going to make a mistake because you're not running your same line. We'll see if he just tries to bring it home normal. And I think that's probably the best thing he can do.
We're right along with him here on his final lap. He's been very good out front, modulating that distance between him and Daniel B. Johnson all night long here at Spa for the Belgium GP here for the Sportsman Series. Good points night, unfortunately, and I'm going to tell you what, a good bounce back by Mark Stevenson. Also, right now, currently, he is up in the 5th place spot. No, 6th place spot as of right now. As you see, Chris goes around. Yeah, I was close to that lap car. Looks good going in those turns too, not yanking the wheel, and that tells you something too. Yeah, you know, you feel so confident with the car. Most of the time we've seen spins all night long there, Mike, but that tells you, yeah, the car. Big JF right there spun it going around. We'll go that one in a minute.
Yeah, I'd look at this because, you know, the one shot here is going to be the bus stop. Everybody's been having trouble exiting the bus stop final turn, and if he's got to navigate that one more time, or Daniel will be right there.
That's it. Out of turn 20. Final time. Man puts it in victory lane here tonight. Chris Yedio. Daniel B. Johnson comes home in second. Brian Hollick coming out of turn 20 here. And we'll take the checker flag for the 3rd place spot. Robert DeLoach, good points night. We'll see. We'll watch him here. Got a lot of lap traffic right there near him, but watch him as he coming around for his final time. A little bit further back here. Make sure that he makes it. You see Zachary right there in the picture. He messes up one turn, Zachary will be there. This right here is going to be an awesome points night for Rob. Dude, that, you know, he's locked in on that 2nd place right now. Come to the bus stop. And you see Zachary's trying. He was like, I can feel it if you just slipped up a little bit. But Rob DeLoach is going to hang on to the 4th place. Zachary's going to come across in 5th. And Mark Stevenson. Oh, I'll tell you, well, let's ride with him here. Make sure he completes the lap. But all night long, yeah, he's coming out of the bus stop, so he's only got one more turn. All night long, I know he's probably going, wow, this has got to be a win. Coming out of 6th, he'd love probably to have won the race, but he has spun probably about 4 or 5 times all night long and still finished 6th.
Yeah, that's called
run.
Managing your points for sure. You did a good job.
Get a couple guys up here, get a word with them. What a finish to this one. Good, solid. See if we can get old Brian Hollick, Johnson, company. Pop up here. Christian Tito. I'll tell you what, Mike, it was very impressive, very fun to watch these guys all night long. You know, I like Spa as a track, very fast, definitely different when it comes to Grand Prix cars and whole. But all some exciting things here tonight.
Absolutely, and you saw some guys out of their element from a car they would normally drive, and I think we saw a lot of spins, but they did a really good job all in all, and even for the ones that struggled, and I'm sure they're glad the round is over, they did themselves proud. So good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I tell you, as we're waiting for the drivers to jump up here, folks, if you want to check out what the Pro Series is doing, they're on the GSRC side. Not sure if they finished up. You probably can tell us there, Mike.
I don't know. I've been so here. They're going to be just a couple minutes behind us, so they've probably got. They're going to be about 5 minutes behind us. So if somebody could catch the last 5 minutes of the Pro Split, they sure could. But while we're waiting for anybody to jump in the interview booth here, we talked about setups all night long and how important they are, especially driver preference and all that stuff. And one of the things about the majors is we supply a setup to all of our drivers every round, baseline setup. We actually call it a baseline plus setup that comes out of the majors garage, which is now the series sponsor and the sponsor of this race. And this week, Scott Newton provided the setups for the FW31, and they were awesome. And they were a great baseline to help people at least get started and to keep the car under them. And anybody out there can get those baseline setups at the Majors Garage, where we do 33 different open setup cars on the iRacing service. You can get them. Just go to themajorsgarage.com and pick up any setup you like. So anyway, that's my plug for that. And it looks like we got a couple by the way.
Yeah, just to give you an update, the pro side is up now. Watching the live feed, got about cars coming across the line, finishing that one up. So there. And well, like you said, a couple of them up here. Third place man, Brian Pollock. Bring it a word win. Brian, Joey the booth, got a copy?
I'm here, Joe. Yes.
Well, Brian, I tell you what, man, you had a fast machine all night long, and you got to give hats off there to the team. Ford's racing here all night. Outstanding, good points night for you. Is there maybe anything else that you could have changed or done a little bit different in this race?
Honestly, I think P3 is about what I could have at most expected. I'm really proud of the team. 7 of the top 8 in practice. I don't even think I put 15 straight laps without spinning together all in the last couple weeks, and tonight I was able to do 44 without spinning. So I don't think I could have done any better than P3.
Absolutely. Now, do you like this track with this car combination? Was it one of your favorites?
It was a lot of fun. Frustrating at start, but that's kind of what this thing with the majors. They give you 3 weeks to prepare, and you go to dirt, you go to these high-powered machines here at a famous track like Spa, and those first couple of days you're like, wow, this is too much, and you're spinning on every corner, and by the time you get to race day, you've learned a lot, and you respect the track, of course, but towards the end, I felt really confident, really fast, and that's kind of how it's worked. Is such a varied schedule. Just kind of start, really unsure about the track and the car, but yeah, you come to love it towards the end.
Hey, and you definitely got to love third place. I know you'd probably love to get it in victory lane, but man, I tell you what, a good, solid finish for you. You got anybody you want to thank for it?
Just the whole team. We came together this year, and honestly, we're on almost every night, just hanging out, and I think we really gel well, and we're having a lot of fun. But just the entire team, just pushing each other, throwing setups back and forth. But yes, I appreciate it. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, I tell you what, Brian, that's what it's about. You got to have a good, solid team there and a good mindset to work together. Again, good finish there in third for you.
Congrats, Brian.
Tell you what, that's third place man. Let's bring up second place man, Daniel Johnson. He tried. A bit short here. Daniel, Joe White in the booth, got a copy? Daniel, Joe White in the booth, got a copy?
I got you.
Hey, Daniel, I'll tell you, well, you were close. Looked like at times there that you were going to be able to run down Chris up there. Take us through a couple of those laps, and if there's maybe anything you could change to possibly reel him in.
Basically, it's just pit strategy. Like I realized I'd overfueled the car for a one stop slightly, so I stretched that lap, and I really tried to push hard on that in lap and take a little less fuel for the second half of the race because I didn't need it. And I could have taken a little bit less and maybe come out with him and really made him work to get around me at the very least.
Well, I'll tell you what, you did an outstanding job, and it looked like a couple times there that you were gaining on him, and he just, I don't know, put an after booster on and pulled away, but you come out of here in second. It's kind of a combination of car track that you enjoy, or was you looking forward to, or just something you're like, I don't know?
It did kind of click after, because we do have the support races, or kind of practice races, and we went, and it sort of clicked about halfway through, and I was able to keep pace up front. But early in the week, made a couple of mistakes towards the end of that race, and just worked all week on consistency.
Consistency, I always say, wins championships, and a lot of times it can win some races. You definitely was fast out there all night long. You got anybody you want to thank for second?
Just a team. Liam Quinn help out again with setup and strategy and just coaching in general. But yeah, everyone at Kinetic, and also thanks to the vast majority of the lap cars getting out of the way and being respectful. That's a big help to not have to race them in addition to.
Absolutely, and it definitely was an awesome race, and it was a good battle between you and Chris up front. One position a little short there tonight, but a good points night for you in the end there. Again, congratulations, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Daniel Johnson, second place man. Well, this guy right here had it on lockdown for most of it. Chris, join the booth. Got a copy?
I got a copy. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing good, and I tell you what, you got to be feeling real good. Champagne's going to fly on you here because you put it in victory lane. Now, though I got to take it back earlier in the race, Mark Stevenson, boy, he had a rocket ship out there and has dominated this whole entire series here in the Sportsman. Was you a little worried when he took off that huge lead up front on you?
Yeah, I was pretty worried, especially with and then Jeff too. They were really fast in practice and qualifying. I knew what my pace was in the race, and I just stuck to it. I kept the relative on the steering wheel at, double zeros, and tried to stick to my pace that I knew I could run. And lap after lap, that's all I did. I got really worried though. Daniel kept me honest because I was running low on fuel, and I was lifting and coasting and drafting behind every lap car I could find, and he kept me really honest, I'll tell you.
Good battle between y'all. That came down to a good finish there at the end, and obviously, like you say, with pit strategy and all. Gotta ask you something me and old Mike was up here talking about too, and the psyche of a driver. And it mentions back to, Mark came out, well, he's been so dominant, so fast, but ran into trouble, spun the car. Not once. He's had an off and all night. He's probably one that he wants to forget, but then again, he's finished very well to come out of it. But did that play maybe in the back of your mind of, it's a teammate having that much trouble and he's fast? What's that do to you when you're running out front?
Yeah, it does get me concerned. It was like, did I do something wrong on setup? Did I, is there too much tire pressure? Was a one-stop strategy the wrong call? We were going over all this before the race and made some last-minute tweaks to tire pressure and some damper settings, and we're like, well, let's go for it, and see what happens.
Well, definitely paid off dividends in big time for you tonight, Chris. You had a dominating car in a dominating fashion. And like you said, Daniel kept you honest there at the end, but you pulled this win off. Awesome points night for you. Awesome win for the team. You got anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank the whole team and especially Mark for putting this whole thing together. I was just some guy getting into the major series and said, one of my buddies said, hey, you should join this team. He's looking for people. And here we are, just a short time later, a big group of friends and enjoy running together and spending time together in the races.
And definitely got some bad, fast machines out there too, because week in and week out, you just see those Forge guys, man, up front. It's good to see. But hey, coming down to the end here, it's going to get interesting when it comes to points time. But for the moment, you put in victory lane here for the Belgian GP here at Spa. Again, congratulations there, Chris.
Thank you very much, and thanks Major Series for putting this together. We really appreciate it. It's fun to run.
That's your Sportsman winner right there, Chris Tito, putting it in victory lane. And Mike, I tell you, what a finish, and he was right. Daniel was there keeping him honest all night long, and the man who has pretty much dominated the Sportsman Series all season, Mark Stevenson, went out, started dominating, but just had some hiccups and challenge here tonight, but he still bounced back with a sixth place finish here. A good, respectable finish on his end to come out here with points, which could have been disastrous. But you got any final thoughts on this one?
That was a good race. It was fun. Thanks for letting me up here, and looking forward to Lucas Oil and the Silver Crowns in 3 weeks.
Absolutely. That's going to be another exciting one, folks. I tell you what, we're going to leave here at Spa. Hope you enjoyed it for the Major Series. This is the Sportsman's class. And that man right there, Chris Yatito, putting it in victory lane. Everyone, have a good night.